Hi, I'm Joshua Lenon. I'm the lawyer in residence at Clio. I have a very unique role where I sit at the intersection of the legal profession and our company of incredible Cleons. We're building software for the legal profession. Part of my contribution is to help share the voice of the industry so that we're building tools that help. It's got to be fragmentation. We know that the practice of law is just harder than it needs to be. It's always going to be hard, but we know that we can help reduce that difficulty. And part of that is lawyers are just having to do their work in multiple places at once. One app for billing, one app for research, another one for drafting. We're trying to eliminate that friction by connecting those dots and moving each of them from a system of record to a system of action, a place where your business data, your work product, and legal intelligence can live in one connected environment. Toggle tax is kind of the price you pay when you have to switch back and forth between things. In one of our earlier legal trends report, we surveyed lawyers and they told us they were being interrupted on average 10 times a day from the tasks that they were working. And so it's not just that they're having to jump back and forth between a document that they're drafting in Microsoft Word or a legal research engine that they're using or swinging by the court's website to make sure they've got the right email address for that clerk. It's also all of these interruptions from clients who have really legitimate needs. This toggling back and forth between tools and tasks and types of services is something that's really difficult to recover from. Studies have shown that a simple 30-second interruption can take up to 15 minutes to get you back into deep focus. It's not just a loss of time from the interruption, but a loss of productivity and efficiency that lingers after it. If you feel you have to work nights and weekends just to catch up, you're probably suffering from toggle tax. We only have so much time in the day. And that's somewhat ironic for an industry that bills based on 6-minute increments, and we always round up. But even with that, there's a limit to the amount of time that's out there. And so a toggle tax in your day-to-day is actually taking a finite resource, the amount of time that you have to do billable work, to do business development, to do client-centric services, and it takes away that time, leaving you with less capacity to do work, less energy to focus on the things that you have to get done that day. And in an industry where everything is governed by like tight deadlines and tight procedural rules, you need to be able to focus in order to give the best legal services you can. Part of it actually comes down to the structure of law firms. Only lawyers can own and manage law firms. We do not train lawyers how to be managers. We teach them how to think like a lawyer. We make a large part of our education be the professional responsibilities that come with being a lawyer. And I think those are important. I'm not minimizing those, but the key message in those lessons is when something goes wrong, it's the lawyer's responsibility to take it on themselves and fix it. And what we see with a toggle tax is it's not the lawyer's fault, right? It's a system that is not working to their advantage. And it is a system that can be changed. So I think that's the biggest misconception and why it's misdiagnosed. Why am I burnt out? It's not just because the practice of law is hard, but because you're missing key steps to make it not so hard. We're using more technology than ever, but it's not necessarily a well-designed set of technology that reduces that stress on us, that keeps us focused. Instead, we have like a digital junk drawer, right? Where some things are here on my laptop and some things are on my server. This is a document that's stored in email, but I need it over here in my document management system, right? We've added a whole host of really useful tools, but I don't think we've figured out how to use them all together in a way that makes sense. And that's that fragmentation that I was talking about before. Are they opening themselves up to errors? Did you miss something because you weren't able to just sit and focus on that document or listen to that client phone call because you were worried about like filing something by 5 p.m. Errors happen when you context switch. Just copying and pasting between two documents can lead to errors in formatting. which can come back to bite you. And then you also have to worry about wellness. If I am not managing my day-to-day well, then I'm going to find myself actually some working nights, working weekends, struggling to keep up. And that's going to hurt you both in a mental and physical sense, but also with your relationships, both with your coworkers, your family and friends. And the last one's opportunity cost. If you're spending brain power on tedious work, that's diminishing the amount of brain power you can spend on actual professional judgment, on legal analysis, the things that your clients are paying you for, right? Context switching, a failure to manage context switching actually does impact a law firm's retention. In our latest legal trends report, we found that firms using AI, over a third of them reported that their employees felt like staying rather than leaving. Using these tools and enabling them to handle more complex work, reduce tedious work, actually made them like their jobs more, made them like that law firm more. And so those firms are not having to deal with a different type of context switching, which is bringing on a new employee, right? How do I find them? How do I train them? What do I do with that lost business until we get somebody new up to speed? So context switching doesn't just impact lawyers, it impacts law firms. This is actually a really groundbreaking study we did. We partnered with Neuro Insights. We measured the brains of legal professionals, and we found on average, lawyers and paralegals that were using Clio software saw a 25% drop in overall cognitive load. What that really means is throughout the day, they were able to look at a task and complete it without having to struggle. We even had lawyers who turned to the test giver and say, I need a pen and paper. With Clio's billing software, so the group that was testing on that, honestly, they just clicked a button and it was done. And that led to a 72% drop in active focus. I don't have to stare at each cell on a spreadsheet to get a bill. Instead, I click a button and it's done. That's an example of a drop in cognitive load, where that energy and mental effort I would have had to spend completing a task is instead reserved, and I can move on to the next one and use that energy there instead. There's a huge amount of different types of tasks and tools that can be used, but just getting things done without struggling is a sign of you've got the right tools, the right technology, the right processes to preserve your mental well-being. The first question you should ask is, does it integrate with my source of truth? Every law firm has one place where everything is supposed to go. Any tool that you add either has to become that new source of truth or connect into it. Otherwise, you're just creating a new silo that you're going to have to switch between, and you're going to pay a new toggle tax. The second question is this tool a system of action? So not just what does it let me do, but what does it do for me instead? And so it should be able to take your source of truth and take other reliable data sources and create some type of meaningful progress on your task. And the last part is, especially if you're using AI for any type of practice of law task, is it using trusted and appropriate legal data? So we know that in these frontier models, right, the really big companies out there creating like ChatGPT, they're sucking up a ton of data across the web and processing it as a part of their training. But that data that they're relying upon is not necessarily legal data, not necessarily accurate data. And that's why we see a lot of news stories about law firms that are unfortunately submitting documents with hallucinations, because those types of generic tools just aren't fit for producing legal work without a lot of extra effort. So if you're going to be using AI for legal work, look for one that has authoritative legal libraries behind it. They disclose what those are and the training data is. So you're not a New York lawyer using an LLM that's been trained on Pennsylvania or California law. Instead, make sure your law is there. And also make sure it includes the right workflows to verify its output. And it has like an easy way to verify its output. Yes, we have New York law. Here's a piece that I helped you write on New York law. And here are the citations that you can click to go into the library and read that law yourself, such that you aren't like just having hallucinations and wasting your time now context switching between drafting something and chasing down a fictional citation. Are people using it? and you make it easy to use in order to make it successful. So we talked about connecting technology to your system of truth and making it a system of action. That's making sure then that the tool can use your data, but also push that data back into your system of truth. And some people call that data liquidity. It can slosh back and forth. The next thing, though, is not just make it like easy and accessible, but then putting it as a part of your workflow. We're going to let this AI agent now help with our firm's file naming conventions. And that means if you name something wrong, it's going to helpfully remind you, these are the conventions, to edit it for you. And we know that computers can get it right a lot of the time, but not all the time. So it gives you that moment of human interaction where you can confirm or adjust along the way. And the last thing is anticipation. Does it know what's coming next? So I've drafted something, I've saved it, it's helped with the file name. The idea that it works with the tools you already have. Like no lawyer wants to change off of their tech stack. But we do know that lots of lawyers hate the technology they're using. When we did the Neuro Insights brain study, it was so apparent how much negative feelings people were having towards Excel. It was just almost funny. It was like a caricature. When we measured a different group of lawyers using Clio software, we actually found people were feeling joy and happiness. Those are the three things that I think are true integrations for law firms. With Clio's acquisition of Vlex, what that means in practice is that you'll be using tools that know the facts of your case as well as the facts of law that apply to your case. And it's going to pull them together simultaneously in a way that's just going to incredibly speed up your efficiency and your accuracy. So it's really exciting for us to see that the library is no longer going to be this separate place, right? Where we go and we try to like treasure hunt and then come back. Instead, it's going to be a continuous repository of knowledge that is at your fingertips the moment you need it. Probably, and honestly, a little bit before you even know you need it. This is easy to use. Only 8% of lawyers surveyed said generative AI tools are hard to learn. 79% of lawyers surveyed are telling us they're using AI. It's not that high in other professional industries. It's crazy. First of all, it's different this time. And I know people say that every time, but we're just seeing this huge desire to use these tools. But that's not the end goal here, right? We should also be working with vendors that make these tools easy to use in a way that is replicable, accountable. So we're not just throwing free ChatGPT at people and expecting them to know that hallucinations happen or expecting them to know how to write a prompt when that's a completely new skill. We're not asking you to go and learn another spreadsheet tool or for the older lawyers listening, right? How to switch from WordPerfect to Microsoft Word. I'm not bitter. And all the headaches that come from switching between tools. Instead, what we're seeing with this agentic AI is that it's actually doing more for you without putting more on you. And that's going to be a huge improvement in adoption rates for this. I think that's why so many lawyers are telling us that AI is easy to use, is because they don't feel like they're having to do more work to get that first level of accomplishment. They should just sign up for a webinar. Clio gives them, Uptime Legal gives them. There are lots of places where you can get exposure to the real capabilities that are emerging in legal AI. Just dip your toe. You don't have to commit to years-long contracts. Instead, go to a webinar, learn a little bit more, do a free trial on some of these tools. Look for vendors who support month-to-month billing. And so you can try it for a month. And if it's not the right tool for you, a good vendor will happily shake your hand, make sure you have all your data back, and part as friends. And that's the opportunity that we have right now, is that you can enjoy, quite frankly, an overwhelming breadth of choice when it comes to legal technology. And I'm excited by that. I'm excited for the profession. I think we've got to shake out what are the best tools, but a good chunk of that's going to be for the profession to decide. I think you need to audit your interruptions, both actual people interrupting you and technology interrupting you. You need to audit that, figure out what things you don't need to know right away, and figure out how to turn those types of notifications off. I don't need my phone to ping me constantly. I need it to ping me when something important is happening that requires my immediate attention. And so turn off those superfluous notifications. Empower your law firm colleagues to move forward with things if they're going to have to interrupt you otherwise. Your secretary doesn't need to interrupt you to book a meeting next week. She's got access to your calendar. Just book the meeting. Take stock of what those interruptions and notifications are and just start removing them right now, such that you're clearing space for you to work on the real aspects of practicing law. Tracking time, it is the worst. I still do it at Clio in order to make sure our tool's as effective and as easy as we can, and I hate it. We're launching an agentic time tracking tool that will suggest time entries throughout the day and make sure that you're actually capturing your time accurately with clear communications on what was accomplished without you having to take 5 minutes to record a time entry on 1 minute of work. If just lawyers who are billing hourly can get some relief from time tracking, oh my gosh, that's going to be a huge improvement in lives. They can have the time to focus and get paid for it, which is really the goal for every lawyer. There's one thing I want to leave the audience with, and that is we're entering a new era where technology is finally starting to combine the business of law with the practice of law. So running your firm and doing your work no longer have to be separated, but instead can be tasks that work together. Clio is defining this new category, our intelligent legal work platform, to ensure that legal technology serves the lawyer, not the other way around.